We are live for this week's episode of Sexually Speaking. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You have myself, Keisha Clark, and my gorgeous co-host, Rhonda Burns. Good morning, Rhonda.
Dancing for you. Good morning. The body's happy. We're talking about fun stuff today. She's a little bit excited.
I love that our bodies do that.
Go ahead.
If we're willing to let them, right?
Totally. Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. I'm having a cuppa with you.
I love your cup. That's an awesome cup, too. Wow. Oh my goodness. If it's your first time joining us, thank you. If it's you coming back to see us again, thank you. And if you have joined us somehow on a replay and you're not finding this having been on our guest list, the link to join our guest list, which means you get the link to join us live every week and you get the replay links first, is in the text below this video if you're watching this as a replay. So today we are talking about, and you can read more about Sexually Speaking and how it got here and all of that, and myself and Rhonda in the text of the YouTube channel as well. Today we want to jump right in.
Going in, baby.
We have a fun topic and we are both very curious to see where this conversation goes. It is, can't keep a good orgasm down. Mm-hmm. So I know most people probably go to an interesting place mentally when we talk about that. And I'm just going to read you what we wrote up just so we kind of get on a similar plane, or at least maybe in the same continent. So there's a lot of conversation about orgasm as a climactic event after the right stimulation in the right spot. But what about the spontaneous orgasmic rush that might happen at the not so necessarily climactic moment? So have you ever had one of those? Hopefully you've had more than one. If the energy of orgasm was more than a climactic event, what could we choose? What could we play with? What else would be possible? So what if you don't have to know a secret spot or an ancient yoga pose to have an orgasmic experience? Are you willing to receive the orgasmic energies of you? And that's where we're going to be playing more with this week, as well as the joys of orgasm from what we might call the conventional methodologies. So we want to go there this week, and we invite you to come here with us and take us in places that you might know about that we may not know of. So first, let's just kind of, I know everybody talks about orgasm, or a lot of people talk about orgasm. What does orgasm mean to you?
Well, as we just shared before we jumped on, I went over to Urban Dictionary and it said the meaning of life. I'm like, can I get an amen? No.
Right?
So before we do that, I would just like to, all of the projections, judgments, decisions, conclusions, expectations from any place in space in the universe, from any lifetime, that we have chosen to say orgasm is or isn't. Can we please just take a deep breath in and just blow that shit out?
Oh, yes.
I'm so aware. And I know for myself, this one hung me up forever, right? Because orgasm looks like you do it like this and then you go, ha, ha, right? Like that was my idea of what orgasm was. And as I sit here like bouncing in my chair, just about to come out of my skin, this is orgasmic. Like this is the state in which my body is at her like most optimum vibrancy and vitality, and she's excited and she's turned on. And no, that doesn't mean I'm going to walk out and like ask somebody to have, copulation with me, but she's fully alive, fully engaged, vibrant, like I said, enthusiastic for just whatever, that to me, what I know now, this is an orgasmic state of being. Way more fun than.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? I have no idea.
That is a fabulous start. And I love that. And very much for me, that is a very much where I am as well in regards to the energy of orgasm. And I talk about the energy of orgasm rather than just calling it orgasm, because a lot of people, how many of us learned orgasm like from a movie in a 90-second scene, right? Yep. It's a little different than that in real life. I hope for all of us that it's a little different, a lot different than that in real life. And what if orgasmic energy is not specifically required to happen or show up in a certain scenario with specific conditions? What if it's not conditional? What if orgasmic energy is unconditional? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Could we just define orgasmic energy as life force energy.
Oh, yes.
Well, that might be too simple. What?
So I'm guided to say just a little bit of housekeeping for any of you who might want to join us or submit a question or a comment, and Lily is also going to join us today. If you roll your cursor onto the screen, you will see the bar come up at the bottom, and you can click on the word chat room, or chat, actually not chat room, that's on the other station. I'm hybriding my stations today. And you can submit a question to either myself or Rhonda privately, or you can submit a question to everyone in general. So, yay! Thank you, everyone, for coming in to see us.
So good to see you.
I wanted to share a little story with this.
Please. Oh, I love stories.
When you brought up the essence of life, the life force energy, I had an interesting experience this past weekend. I was doing some, you could call research, looking at some videos and just looking up some things with regard to sexual alchemy and alchemy in general, and alchemy pertaining to the healing process and that sort of choosing into more of us, that, you know, risking, as it were, the things that no longer work to make space for what does, and spinning the lead into the gold. And so I came across, through just clicking and clicking, I came across this video, and the name really intrigued me, so I chose to watch it. And I had a really interesting experience with this video. It had to do, I can't remember the specific wording of the title, but what drew me in was, it was something the flavor of, you know, sacred, secret, something revealed from all of the sacred text and the blah blah blah. Anyway, in a nutshell, they started out pretty nicely with giving some history. Now, they were basing it primarily on Hebrew and Greek scriptures, and so that right there let me know, like, where they were working from. But they were doing a lovely job of, you know, making some through line connections and finding some themes that ran through all of the, like, the basis of all of what we know as the religious sects, SECTS. And about 15 minutes in, there was this very interesting thing that they proposed, and they were kind of using the allegory of the story of Adam and Eve, and talking about, essentially, humanity started with, like, basically as hermaphrodism, you know, being the norm, and that the process of creating new bodies was this divine event that you were taken into this very special something for, and it was done at the behest of the God, of God. And so then they went into the story of Adam and Eve, and they kind of went along with the theme that when Eve ate the apple, all hell broke loose. And that wasn't so much what kind of tweaked my ears. It was more of where they chose to go from there. Was they presented that orgasm was something that should be avoided. Now that, right? Like, are you insane?
Now, negative, Ghost Rider. Negative.
It was very interesting. I was practicing my interesting point of view, let me tell you. And so they were maintaining that because this orgasmic energy is the energy of the divine, and humans don't know what to do with that. It's like way too much for humans. It's beyond their scope of understanding, that it became dangerous, and therefore that was part of the reason for the suffering. And they actually went as far as to say, like, more than one time, and they even put the text up with the warning, desire leads to suffering. Now, I get that is a part of many of the different choices of belief structures in our world.
Yes.
I get that. I can be an allowance of that. And if that's what people choose to have, that point of view, it's perfectly, you know, I'm not the point of view police.
Right. Okay, cool.
But where I went nuts was this, it was like the presenting of this notion that, one, orgasm was something to be avoided because of where it takes us, what it brings up for us, and what it empowers us to do and know and be. And two, that we have because of punishment or whatever reason, that we have to prove ourselves to this greater deity, to this supreme deity, in order to earn our good graces back to the kingdom. And I was like, okay, so what I know, just from being alive and being here as a part of the universe, that orgasmic energy, that energy that we refer to as orgasm, and what I also call orgasmic energy, I do know, my awareness is that is that life force energy. That's the chaos from which, and I've heard it called also touching the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And I just reached a moment where it was like, this is such a lie.
Yep. That's it right there. You were like, we react that way, in that, like, the energy for anybody who's watching this, the energy of what Keisha's talking about is like, you knew it was a lie. Yeah. And that's the frustration and the no, right? Like, I want to flip them off. Like, what? And the absurdity of it. And yet I get it. I look at religious, I get it. I get it. And it's still bullshit.
Yeah. And I'm
that's
not
my point of view.
Yeah, I kid you not, I had to pause. I didn't have to, but I chose to pause the video like 4 times just to do my processing, get out of my SHIT and get back, because I knew there was something there for me. I knew there was something to glean from viewing this. And again, for anybody who might have happened onto this in the replay and you're wondering, what the heck are these chicks talking about religion and sex and orgasm and oh my God, and well, we talk about those things. So, and if this is something that is bringing something up, perhaps there is something more here for you to look at and explore into. And how many people are doing exactly this thing that they were talking about, trying to avoid orgasmic energy. And so this topic had been on our docket of possibilities to play with, and it popped for this week when you and I were talking on Sunday. So it was just so interesting to have that brought more into my cognitive awareness of how this is perpetuated and perpetrated on people. And then how many of these amazing beings with these incredible bodies, as you've heard us talk about how much we love bodies many times on this show, are really hurting ourselves and abusing ourselves because of this notion that we are separate from, and therefore we have to do something to make up for that, or to earn our way somewhere. And this orgasmic energy is not allowed.
Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Just give me a breath. Give me some space. Lord have mercy. It's just like, I'm going on the pulpit here. I'm telling you.
Right?
Right. It's just insanity. And so I wrote down, because you said avoid. So I wrote down avoidance and resistance, and like the amount of energy that we as individual human beings suppress and to lock down and to keep it within is immense. I mean, I feel it every single day. I feel it. I have felt it within my own body because of the way that I was taught growing up. You guys have heard me share before, like the religious household and the mainstream America, and we don't talk about this and we don't touch that and you don't wear that, right? Like, been there. Right. The suppression. And that's the insanity, the amount of energy that it takes to suppress what is naturally ours, that we came in with, that is the divine. It is the source. It's like trying to contain the power of the sun. It's not cool. And again, like those of us who've been on these journeys, our journeys of seeking and evolving and expanding and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
As we start to unlock those, those boxes and keys, and like we're opening, like then it starts to flow and you're like, oh wow, that feels really good, right? I'm not saying I walk around and have a physical orgasm every day, but you guys can tell the level of enthusiasm that I have today in my body. Like, we're wide open and the flow is just, it's coming and going, it's constant. That as opposed to having to suppress it because a religion or a school or some type of thought, model says, nope, you can't wrangle the beast, right? Because you're not right. Like, I'm like, fuck off. Let me show you what I can wrangle. Like, I'm like, God, I'm sorry. I hope I'm making a coherent thought today. I'm just totally fired up. Fired up.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. These things that we invent and then they get created as like, these rules that we're supposed to live by.
Yep.
And I can see, in our collective toddler era or preschool phase, maybe, I could see where we might think that had validity. I can see where we might think that applied, but we've been on this planet, folks, for a whole lot more years than you might be acknowledging, or than many of us might be acknowledging. And the part that is so fascinating is like everything around us is in the way that I perceive the world and view the world, everything around us is an example, is an expression of that energy as well, as though we created all of these incredible reminders that we do have access to that energy if we're willing to choose it and be it.
Yes.
And receive it.
Yes.
So what can we crack open today with
I got my crowbar.
The resistance? What are you ready to let go of the resistance to, have you created orgasm as something that is wrong and only appropriate for like 90 seconds at a time, if that long? Because most people, if you were to time your climax, the actual physical expression of it, like the actual moments of physical production, as in ejaculation, or whether you're male or female, if you were to actually time it, folks, like that takes very little actual time in linear sense.
Right.
So the notion that orgasm has to be that, like, again, as Rhonda was saying, do you see how much energy, do you get a sense of how much of your vitality it takes to actually try to contain that or keep from having that, or only allow your amazingness to show up for those few seconds? Because it's not even 90 seconds for many people.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about multiple orgasms and certain techniques for prolonging climactic experience, yes, you could say that's a little more than a few seconds. Maybe you get up to the 90 seconds because, what happens when you're in the moment and when you're watching, the linear sense of timing it is two very different things.
Right.
So if we're looking at a time, like it's only allowed for this particular passage of time, like that's a minuscule part of our life that we're allowing that energy to express.
Right. Yeah.
And that's amazing to me. That we would think that's like okay when our bodies are designed to actually function from that energy.
Yeah.
As that energy.
Yeah. And I keep getting the visual of waves, like waves of the ocean. So the wave crescendos and then it crashes and falls. And it's like, it's a constant, like that's a really fun energy, right? So like the climax is, okay, give me a coherent thought, please. Right, the peak moment, it's the end result. And like, what if we truly, there is no end, this I know, but like, what if we could choose to be the constant flow of, rise and fall? Like, what if we just allowed that just flow to be whatever? And so like, I'm really a high peak right now, right? Well, it's going to crescendo. I can't sustain that. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point of view, but I tend to not sustain it for lengths of time. And so then the declination, the falling of the wave, but it doesn't mean I can't come back up or that I won't, right? But like how much we resist the waves, right? And we repress them. And so, wow. So I wrote this down, and here's a tool that we'll share. And you guys, universe, please show me the energy of orgasm I truly be.
Oh, I love that.
Because
Yes.
when you ask the universe to show you, it's going to come to you in only a way that you can receive it or perceive it. And then you can literally ask, universe, please show me the energy of the orgasm that my business truly is or can be.
I'm liking
my
that.
relationships, right? So the energy, not the climax, the energy of orgasm for everything in your life. Friends, watch what shows up if you're willing to play with that one. Like, you might just get a whole lot happier, a lot sexier, a lot more playful, just saying.
Ooh, doggies. And you might also be able to ask your body what your body knows about orgasm. Body, show me the energy of orgasm you truly be.
Yeah.
Hello.
So here's an interesting story that can I share a story about bodies?
Please.
So, and I've mentioned this, I've mentioned it on my radio show and here. So I'm very clear that me, the being, I am ready to invite a playmate into my world, you know, my person, right? It's been a long time and I've dated here and I've slept with people there, but it's been a while. And so but there's been this disconnect because I desire to have a playmate, but my body has not. And it's like, but body, but you know, it's been that, but body, but I really want, and so the beautiful progression of asking questions and opening and getting more information and making different choices, I did get the clarification that I required the other day. I had a beautiful reading by somebody that I love and trust. And I said, okay, I would like some information about what my body is trying to convey to me. And she's like, your body knows where you want to go. Your body knows what you want to create in your business and in your relationship. And your body is not there yet. She's not prepared to be your partner with what's going on with her physically and physiologically right now. Go speak to somebody. And I was like, that was so light. Everything went, yeah. So I have to prepare the way with her so that she can help sustain the level of orgasmic energy that I choose to function from and the way in which I teach in the world and share and connect and blah, 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 right? My body's my partner in this. And so it would be like trying to go out and run a 26.2 miles as a marathon and having never trained a day in my life.
Right.
That's the equivalent of it, right? So it's like, okay, body, that's off the burner. We're going to focus on you. And so I get to see a doctor today who's going to give me more information on what I can do to honor her so that we can sustain and really grow this orgasmic energy physically, energetically, emotionally, etc. So does that contribute?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And it something very intriguing started to kind of bubble as you were talking. How many of us have been, well, adopted, however we've chosen it, or been impelled with this point of view that an orgasm is an ending? Like it means the end of the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I just started to kind of play with that, and it does actually make sense that we would try to avoid it if you're seeing it as an ending.
Oh, good point.
And so as Rhonda was talking about the crescendo and the decrescendo, you know, riding the waves, literally and figuratively, what if the orgasmic, the climactic moments, those moments of peak energies, what if we could allow those to be a contribution, not just an expression or an expulsion of energy, but actually receiving from that and through that? And that actually gave us more to be able to allow the energy to fall back or slow down or release, or that the decrescendo, and you then go into the building stage for the next wave, or the gathering stage, because you know when the I think it's at the bottom point of a wave. I have no idea what the terminology of this is.
Yeah.
Like at the lowest point of the wave, it's a pulling, it's a gathering.
Yeah, it's an undercurrent. Yes.
The current, yeah.
Yes, and it's so cool. My body's like,
what if,
it loves it.
Right, how much have we not acknowledged that our bodies actually know, to be able to utilize this and actually function in a way that gives us way more capabilities, not just as amazing lovers
Right.
with each other, but also as amazing, allowing that vitality to show up in our business, in our relationships, in our conversations, in the things that we are putting out into the world. Basically, all of our outward expression to the world.
Yeah.
What could that change? And here's a maybe controversial question. Would that not allow you to be closer to the God of your knowing?
Beautiful.
And I know that's a hot button for a lot of people. And what if we were willing to look at that?
Yeah, I want to be really crude right now, but I'm not going to, because again, it's a very playful subject for me, and
Right.
I'm going to honor and revere that space and just let that settle for people. It's a beautiful question.
Yeah.
And let me tack on to that. What keeps popping up is money. Like,
Ooh.
you throw money in the right. Like, how many people are having quote unquote money issues, where money is an energy, and that, you know, that which we are invites more of that, right? And so I look in the world at people who are very successful, who have a great deal of financial abundance and wealth, and I look at the energy of many of them, and it is that orgasmic life force energy that is moving constantly. It's in flow, and their money flows have increased, right? Like, so what is the correlation with orgasmic energy and money, if you will, currency, whatever you want to call that, right? Current is the root word for currency. Like, it just, it's fascinating. Like, it's
intriguing.
all popping, right? So adding that to the mix, like,
Ooh, I
so
like that.
becoming closer to your God, to your source, whatever. What does money have to do with it as well, right? Like, just, there's so much that's all tied together.
Yeah.
But we've disassociated, we've divided, we've partitioned, and we've locked it away. What if we actually unlocked it and released the energy? What might that create?
Wow.
So everything that has you thinking or checking out or thinking you can't, or I don't know, all of the thoughts that are here that are coming up, I'm going to ask you to just take a deep breath in, blow them out. Universe, show me. Show me what's available. Show me. If you want something different. If you don't ask the question. Just saying.
Well, this is interesting too. Of course, I've gone on to Etymology Online.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating, the wording. Orgasm as a verb actually is, they're dating it circa 1973 as a verb, when it was used as a verb. Originally and usually in reference to a woman's sexual climax. So, but then you go to orgasm, the noun, or as a noun, from the 1680s, sexual climax. I love this, from the Greek word orgasmos. That's sort of like cosmos with orgasm. I like that.
I like it. I'm writing it down.
Orgasmos.
I might have a dog in the future named Orgasmos. Just
there
saying.
You go. Hey. And it is excitement, swelling, from the root organ, to be in heat, to become ripe for, or literally to swell or be excited. And then related to the ORGE is impulse, excitement, anger. It's interesting. There's that ripeness and that swelling and that openness energy, and it's so interesting that there's like this there's this attraction, you know, like you see a piece of fruit that's ready to be picked, and you move toward it, right? Like,
yep,
and
right for the picking.
And so it's like the invitation, and then for the one who is in that moment, in that state of the ripeness, there is the willingness to receive what that is attracting, what that's drawing in. So what is it about the receiving that is inherent in that orgasmic energy that we might be resisting? And what else is possible if we were willing
I am
to allow that?
seeing and hearing heads spinning. Like,
Yeah.
receiving an orgasm, what? I'm like.
Right? It's a very different thing.
Brilliant.
It's like, what does that have to do with that? But it's like, if you take it, if you include, yes, the sexual connotation as well as your whole life, the energy of all of your existence, okay? Are you willing to receive a lover? Are you willing to receive a lover bringing you to orgasm?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to receive the universe as your lover? Are you willing to receive your body being ripe, being open, being excited, being swollen, and not from being hungover, being excited, being high on life? It's a different kind of swollen, okay? And there's something there that is the invitation. So it's like being the invitation, and the willingness to be the invitation inherently has that willingness to receive what that invites to you. Yeah.
What it invites and creates. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How willing are we to be that?
Not very is what I'm getting.
Oh, wow.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So everything that is, and everywhere you bought that from, and wherever you brought that in from, and whoever you're perpetrating it for, and keeping that in play. How about we just send all that shit back to wherever it came from, send it on back. Not our, nope, not our story. And what else is available? Wow. So I kept seeing the fruit from the tree. And so it goes back to this finality piece, right? The end. So if you look at a tree, right? A tree puts its fruit out. I was like, oh, the tree is hit climax. The fruit's there. It's hanging and ready to be picked, but it's not final because the tree is continuously creating and producing.
Yeah.
Yes, it might be in cycles and timeliness, but it's never ending until the tree chooses to be done, and it dies. But like the process of putting the apple out, sure, that we could say that's climax, but it's not the end. It's just that so that was a really cool picture that I got, and I'll be playing with that for myself.
I like that.
But like, again, this so much comes back to the energy of the finality of it.
Yeah.
That it's an end point. It's a means to an end. And how much do we trip ourselves up? So show me more. I don't have it right now. Yeah, it's there.
It's a very, as you hear us say often on this show, that's a very interesting energy that comes up. And is it a part of that? We have so bought the separateness. We have so bought into that we have to be separate because I'm a woman and you're a man and this is something else and this is a person and they're a Republican and they're a Democrat and they're from Asia and they're from China, from France and whatever. Like, just because you show up as a different, unique, amazing expression of what is possible in this universe and as this universe, are you really organically separate?
Nope.
Can you be? Can we be separate? I mean, there's several of us on this show live today, you and I and the people listening live, and then there's going to be the people with the replay. But just because somebody listens to this on the replay or as the replay, does it mean that they're not being a contribution to this conversation?
Not at all.
Right?
Total contribution. So
where did we... This is interesting because I'm playing with this on my show Friday too. So
cool.
This is like all
better.
Interesting stuff. Like, so there's something to do with the element of time.
Yes. So the element of time, finality, and receiving. That's what I'm like, show me. Like it's a misidentification. It's something. Okay. So if it wants to show up today on the show, it will. So I'm just going to drop my barriers even more and expand out even more. Show us what wants to be spoken. Because what I get, Keisha, and I know you do too, like, this is so juicy. Love juicy. This is key. Like the aspect of orgasmic energy is so vital to what wants to be created and show up here. And what it can contribute to the planet, to all of the life force on the planet, to like the tree, like it's crucial.
Yeah, well, so I'm curious, like, if this is TMI, folks, let us know. Like, I'm really curious. what goes on for us? So any of you live who want to share, you can share anonymously. You can put it in the Q&A panel to just Rhonda and I if you want to. But I am really curious, what is your experience of orgasm? Do you cry? Do you laugh? Do you scream? Do you try not to have it? Are you having orgasm from contraction, or are you having orgasm from expansion? So let's talk about it in the literally sexual copulative context.
Yeah, well, I'll tell them myself. Like, here's the interesting thing. I can remember it must have been 6th grade. I remember being I woke up in the morning and I had like full body, full waves, like, oh my God, what just happened? That felt better than, like, I didn't know what it was. And we didn't talk about stuff like that. So I later learned that was an orgasm. Like, my body and I'm like, I want more of that. Here's the funny thing. I didn't have orgasms through 2 of my marriages. I didn't self-pleasure. I didn't masturbate. Like, that was all no in my reality at the time. So I didn't actually start to have orgasms via, copulation and sex and masturbation, etc., until it's been in the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. That's a long time to not actually have a release, if you will. That's been my experience. Yeah. Because guess what? We're not actually taught. We're taught where body parts are. We're taught that boys are going to start to get pubic hair and girls will start to get pubic hair at certain ages and blah, blah, blah. But like, we're not taught the art of orgasm and climax, and like, that's been my experience. And I guarantee you, I thought I was so solo in this. I thought I was on an island.
Oh my gosh.
There are so many women I can speak to that do not know how, because so much of this gets in the way. All of this up here. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So that's been my experience. How about you? Like,
totally. What I learned was contractual orgasm. Now, so that we're all also, like, just in case anybody's wondering, you can have orgasm without ejaculation and you can have orgasm with ejaculation. So when we're talking about orgasm, we're not specifically referring to ejaculation, male or female. So for me, for the first long portion, for the majority of my sexual life, my adult life, well, I don't know, it was slightly before adulthood, but there was more of that contractual orgasm.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, contractual orgasm shuts down. And by the nature of that energy, that's really all it can do. You have that, you're so constricted because it's really based in a resistance.
Right.
And then your body like reaches that peak and you have to stop. There's that like, no, stop. Because then if you go past that point, it actually becomes rather uncomfortable.
Right.
So it wasn't until probably the last decade of my life that I was actually having orgasm I began actually having orgasm from the expansive energy, from allowing my body to open even more. And that, I will say, that takes, you got to be present because I think the natural tendency for so many of us is to constrict and tighten up and resist, and you're basically getting smaller, right?
Right.
So, and I know for a lot of folks, you've probably heard of different practices like Tantra or Tantra, we'll say it correctly, or different methodologies for playing with stimulating. You know, there's different forms of what's called edging and things that kind of take you to that point and allow you to linger. And for however those methods are created, most of them are about becoming more present, having more awareness, actually extending the energy of the pleasure and the sensation. And if you've practiced with any of that, you are actually far more, you're in a minority and you have a different way that you can talk about that experience than most of the people. It's like what Rhonda said. I thought that people knew how to, like, I thought that it was more natural to know this information than to not have a clue about orgasm.
Yeah. So
So
there's a question in the Q&A. Can you describe how contractual orgasm feels in the body versus the expansive one? Wow, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and I'm looking for like a practical, because again, right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
I don't want to be vague.
right.
So do you have something? Can you
I know
share
that
one?
from contractual, so when I was doing this with a male partner, and it was usually through, the objective was through penetration.
Right.
There was, I was literally contracting. I was literally squeezing the pelvic floor muscles.
Right.
I was, and the more the penetration, the more I was squeezing. Now I learned how to do, I don't know what they call this, but there's also a practice of learning to relax and contract your pelvic muscles,
Right.
to add to the stimulation during copulation, during intercourse.
Right.
But then there was a certain point that my body would start to become more intensely excited, and I would contract even more.
Right.
And so when climax occurred in that way, there was almost like this pull away when the orgasm started. There was a pull away, and then I actually really needed him to leave my body.
Right.
And there was almost like I had to recoil, not because I was disgusted, just
Right.
because my body had reached its point that if I went any further, it would become painful.
Yes.
So from expansion, orgasm from expansion, there's more of the being present is an essential part of it.
Right.
And being able to really allow your body to relax, and not necessarily relax all your muscles. There's still the working of certain muscles.
The physiological, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's more of this breath work to engage the allowing your body to stay open and allowing your energy to stay open. And so the way I play with it is when there's the tendency or the impulse to tighten or constrict, I allow the muscles pertaining to specific stimulation to constrict, but I'm not constricting my whole body.
Yes. Yes. And so the visual that I'm getting for the person that asked, and the follow-up question was, how do you know? Like, there's a stark distinction.
Very big difference.
What I'm seeing is, like, let's say, think of a tornado, a cyclonic, right? The intensity of that cyclonic, it's just, and if you put it in a vacuum, right, it's really intense and it's very small. But if you open up that space and you put that, let's say that cyclone on a prairie, like, get the energy of the space of that. So the intensity is still there, but it's not contained in a vacuum. Does that make sense? So that to me was like the contracted versus the expansive. Mm-hmm. So the intensity is voluminous, mm-hmm. but when you create the space for it, we don't shrug our shoulders, we don't hold our breath. It's literally like opening it up, and it's pulling. So a cyclone, right? It pulls in all of the energy from around it. It's pulling in all of the energies, and it's building. It is astounding. And again, this is a process, it's practice, it's learning, it's whether it's tantra or orgasmic meditation, whatever forms, but it's about learning and practicing mm-hmm. in a safe space with or without a partner. And you just have to feel it for yourself, right? And again, so much of it, especially for women, I cannot speak for men, but we are so entrenched and trained to be in our heads, to think. It's very challenging for many women to shut their brains off. And we have to be with our bodies. The presence, as Keisha has alluded to, like, we have to be present. And when we find ourselves holding our breath or squeeze, we have to literally just relax and expand. And whatever the word or the verbiage or the cues are for yourself, it is a practice. And it was very uncomfortable for me in the beginning, because I was so used to doing it a certain way, and it's new and it's unknown. But when you start to be able to relax that and let your body show you what it can do, holy shit, you could do that? You could do that? Do that again. It's like, you definitely want more. Yeah.
And now here's a few little things that this is just my interesting way that I'm going to present this, is some suggestions I will make for anybody who would like to play with orgasm from expansion rather than contraction. I would invite you first to begin to play with your body. You don't have to do anything, it's not about impressing yourself. It's just about, if you were willing to get a familiarity with your body, to know what it feels like when the hood of the clitoris is touched versus the opening of the vagina, versus the stroke of the perineum, versus more stimulation around of the anal opening. There's a very different read that your brain and your body will have of each of those areas. And if you don't have a sense of the difference of those and the way they feel, like the filters, how they come through your filters, it makes your process of having orgasm in a physical copulative sense more difficult. It's almost like the channels are all mixed up and blurred, like the white fuzzy thing, versus a clear sense of, oh, this is what this is, and this is what this is, and they are different. And not all of them, not everyone enjoys all of those different types of stimulation.
Right.
And at the same time, bodies, as we said in the write-up, bodies don't necessarily require one specific point of stimulation.
Correct.
That being said, what I'm aware of with a lot of women, and I would venture to say this is possible with a lot of men, depending on what you have going on with your body, if you could allow for work or play, we could call it play, with your hands before you do any type of penis to vagina penetration, if you could allow play with your hands and get a sense of what it is like to feel the touch around all of those areas in and around your genitals, and the rest of your body. We could have a series of shows on, and I know there are some very good videos available, tutorials and conversations both, about different ways to do stimulation of bodies, with hands, without hands, with other things, with toys, without toys. So if you want to explore all of that, I invite you to explore that as well, because there's no wrong way to have an orgasm, guys.
Nope.
There's no wrong answer here. It's about, if you're willing to receive that, if you're willing to allow your body to show you that, and allow your lover to show you that when you have a lover having an orgasm, there's so much. It's really a wide open field, if you will. And to begin with, however, you do want to have a sense of your body. You do want to get a sense of what does this different type of stimulation feel like, as well as, like, for both men and women, does anything add to the joy of it when you have things going on with your nipples or other erogenous zones of your body? So if you have that awareness, you will have more of a sense of what I would call, I'm going to use the word grounding, mainly from the sense that you have that essence of being with your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not grounding from being stuck or rooted or immovable. It's really about, it's almost, some people use the phrase drop into your belly. Some people say get centered, however that wording lands for you. So you will perceive a difference. It is very different in the way that the energy moves when the orgasm occurs, to have an orgasm from expansion versus contraction. Right. Most people have orgasm from contraction.
Yes, the majority. I'm going to let you keep talking. Somebody is like beating down my door, so I will be right back. So I'm going to y'all keep talking. I'll be back.
We'll keep talking.
I'll be
Cool. I have another question here. Can you practice expansion with self-pleasure? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think I was beginning to that was a part of this invitation of, before you allow other people to play with your body, it's my personal point of view, interesting point of view, that it's usually a good thing if you're willing to play with your body. And we might have a show on this topic, because I feel like this is, or I get a sense really, that this is something that A lot of people don't talk about, at least not in ways that are in allowance. Like, I have no point of view how you play with your body, how you play with your lover's body. I'm not about judging you on that. It's really just about what I know from my background in dancing and the body work that I've done, and just in the type of work, the way that I organically work with others is, if you have an awareness of your body, if you have a sense of not only what your body likes and desires, but really what doesn't work for your body, you will be much more able to communicate to someone else, and to not just communicate verbally, but to really, in those moments of creating intimacy with someone else, you have a much broader energetic vocabulary to work with as well. And that simply comes from your willingness to be present with your own body. Now, I know that might sound kind of crazy. That might sound kind of woo-woo, but you do have an energetic vocabulary. And if you're willing to play with that, you can create things with your own body as well as with a partner's body that are far beyond what is typically represented as the things that are possible in a relationship with yourself and with anyone else. So I just would, yes, invite you to play with your own body. And if you could do that from the celebration of it, the discovery, like if anybody remembers when you were a baby, your hands were, oh, wow, what's that? Oh, that's interesting. And this feels kind of different when I do this, and if you could allow it to be the exploration and the curiosity to take you to those places with your body, and not have, let me say, at the same time, if you would be willing to let go of all of the points of view that you might have bought that in any way make a wrongness of knowing your own body, that would open the door, and that would drastically change what is possible with you for you to play with your body. So, and you know what? We have a show on self-pleasuring coming up. It's either next week or a couple weeks down the chute. It's called The Gift of Self-Pleasuring. So if you're watching this as a replay and it's significantly any time has passed, you might also be able to find that in the replay lineup. Because that is something that has been made so wrong, and yet who else is gonna tell you what your body likes?
Oh my gosh. I can remember, sorry, I had to zip out there, but I remember having a conversation. I was adult, I was out of college. Gosh, my friend and I were still friends. So this has been like 12 years ago. I was divorced again. Yeah. So I was single again after my divorce, my son's father. And I was talking to my best friend at the time, and she's like, well, have you masturbated? I'm like, I don't masturbate. Because again, growing up in a religious household, that's a no-no. That's a wrongness. And she's from a religion. She's like, Rhonda, you have got to, like, she just said, you've got to, like, that's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. This is something you have to start to do. And so because I heard it from my friend who was also raised in the church, and I'm like, well, I can trust her. Like, right? Like, there was a knowing somewhere within me that, okay, this ain't working. And so I didn't have a fucking clue. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, I just didn't. So I'm like, okay. So I bought a toy. So I started playing with my finger, right? Like, I just had to start. And then I read stuff, and then I found stuff on the internet. Like, it's just a process, but you got to start, and like self-pleasure. I've been single a long time, friends. Like, if I weren't self-pleasured, I'd be a hot ass mess. Like, I'm just saying. So, like, I don't care how old you are. You have permission to start in self-pleasure.
Yeah. If you think it doesn't do wonders for your disposition, folks, think again.
Yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah. OMG.
Oh my gosh. We could cure so many addictions. I mean, I know that there's talk of a sexual addiction, and yet this is I can't wait till we have this conversation. This is a completely different approach and perspective on self-pleasuring, and what it is called the gift of self-pleasuring. So look for that title coming up here next week or in the following week. It's going to be very soon, and I'm excited for that conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, folks, wow, I truly desire that we are being an invitation for you to have a different point of view with orgasm, with what that is for you, with the energies of you being orgasmic. What could we change? What would change in your life if you were able to have the joy, the fun, the excitement, the adventure of your orgasm, whatever it is for you, however it shows up? Does it show up when you're cooking? Does it show up when you're doing laundry? Does it show up when you're designing a house? Does it show up when you're going fishing? Does it show up when you're pitching a tent, when you're painting a piece of art or creating a song? It's like, if we were willing to bring that orgasmic essence into more of our lives, wow, do you get a sense of how much more we would actually like our lives?
Mm-hmm.
Are you really here to live in drudgery? Are you really here to live in limitation? And are you really here to be separate?
Yeah. No. And here's the beauty, friends, when you're willing to function with and as and that energy that Keisha just spoke of, the level of ease that your life becomes and that your creations get created, like, it happens fast.
Yeah.
There's no drudgery. There's no difficulty. There might, it might take longer in some instances, but the ease in which people show up and money shows up and opportunities and possibilities and experiences, it's like, whoo, where'd you come from?
Yeah. Right?
It's so true. I can't, it happens. So if you don't want fast or ease, then don't play with this. I'm sorry, we've wasted your time, right? But this is for those of you who desire something different, desire something greater, something maybe a little unconventional compared to what's being taught in the world today. We talk about what we know, and whether we've actually experienced or not, it's irrelevant. We know this. Mm-hmm. We do.
And it is our target. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our target to create that and more of that.
Holy moly.
Woo. So are there any tools that I love universe, show me the orgasmic energy I truly be. Mm-hmm. I love asking your body, show me the orgasmic energy of you. And there feels like there's a couple more percolating before.
Yes. Now, I did not hear what you said while I was away, but the thing that I wanted to speak to before I stepped away was, in any instance, it's, again, the presence is a key piece, but dropping your barriers. Mm-hmm. So whether you're self-pleasuring, whether you're with a partner, whether you're walking through life, do not have any barriers up, because that will prohibit and keep you from receiving and the gifting and the circulation of the energy. So dropping your barriers is a tool.
And I'm going to add to that. If and when you notice those barriers are back up,
yep,
rather than if you feel the need to go into punishing yourself because you put your barriers back up, I'm just going to ask you, please don't. And if those moments you would choose to ask another question, even if it's just a question, what would it take to let my barriers down right now? Again, that can change the energy with more ease.
Yes.
And if you are with another person and you feel those barriers coming up, you feel yourself starting to constrict, they said something, or they made a sound, or they touched you in a certain place and it brought a certain memory, and now the barriers are up again. Would you be willing to ask your partner out loud if you could take a moment?
Right.
Sometimes it's a contribution to the overall experience and the orgasm if you're willing to slow down or stop or back off and let yourselves have some space and then see where the energy takes you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the translation of that is to never, ever, 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 ever make yourself wrong.
I love it.
And here's one, I have put myself and my body in situations, Keisha, where that shows up. And as I drop my barriers, the overall feeling, knowing sensation is, I don't want to do this. And how many of us, and this is a much bigger conversation for another day because we're at the end of the show, but if your body says no, heed your body's information. if it's like, I'm sorry, and I've done this. I've not had to. I've chosen to do this in honoring of my body because I obviously bypassed or overruled her, and I've gotten to a place and it's like, I am very sorry, but this is actually not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're done.
Mm-hmm.
And the willingness to be called whatever and made raw, it doesn't matter. Like, you willing to heed what your body says and knows. Your body
Please.
knows so much more than we've ever given them credit for.
Please, yes. So friends, wow. I feel like we've sort of like had this peak and now we're just enjoying.
I need a cigarette, even though I was I'm like, oh, anybody get a smoke?
Yeah. So what if you can't keep a good orgasm down? What if there was no reason to keep your orgasmic energy contained or hidden or controlled or tucked away or turned off even? What if the orgasmic energy of you could be such a contribution and make your life so much more fun, enjoyable, something that you actually look forward to choosing and having and creating? No matter what walk of life you're having right now, no matter what your bank account says right now, no matter what your job role is right now, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what's going on in any other part of the world, right. What if this is for you? What if this is what you can gift to you? Allow that energy to show up. Thank you so much for being here with us today, guys. This has been you are amazing, and please know you have contributed massively to this conversation. We are eternally grateful. And Rhonda, I am so grateful for you. Oh my gosh. Yes, thank you, Wendy.
Juicy show and topic. Yeah, it's a big one. To cover it in an hour, this is just the very tip. We've got to the tip. And I'm so grateful that we can have these conversations, Keisha, and that we come from the space of kindness and just clarity and transparency and just the orgasmic nature of it, that this is what we do. And I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for this space and those who do come. So friends, as always, if clarity is required, if further information is desired, do not hesitate to reach out to Keisha and myself. conversationswithkr@gmail.com is our email address. It is our desire for there to be zero confusion. So if we did not get to it today, we didn't cover it, you have additional questions, let us know.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. If anything comes up as you're watching this in the video form as a replay, also send us an email if a question pops for you. If there's a topic in particular you'd like us to explore, yes, please let us know, because we are all about empowerment, clarity, and changing the way people do and choose and think of sex on this planet. So absolutely. That's why we have unconventional conversations to unfuck your life. So
until next week, you can find Keisha and myself on our radio shows on A2Zen.fm. I'm on Wednesday mornings at 10 Eastern. Keisha's on Fridays at 11 Eastern. She's living well. I'm Potency is my game.
And you got a good one coming up tomorrow.
Oh, are you secretly addicted to resistance?
Mm-hmm.
Bunny talked about resistance today. So yeah. And what are you talking about Friday?
On Friday, I'm talking about Not on My Watch.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it. I can't wait. And for those of you who are catching the replay, you can go into the archives pages of our host pages and find the shows. Mine will be for August 31st and yours will be for September 2nd, 2016. So
on A2Zen.fm. Yeah. Wow, folks, you rock. You are awesome. Virtual high fives to my peeps and my sisters. I love you. Wow.
Love you guys.
God, how much orgasmic energy can you allow into your life this week?
Yeah.
Just play with that.
So have fun with that. So we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.